So, if you've ever stepped foot into the worlds of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, or Elden Ring, you know they've got this shared feeling, right? This incredible, grim, dark fantasy DNA. It's all about struggle, huge monsters, and this sort of beautiful decay. It really feels like they were all carved from the same stone. But what if I told you that the blueprint for all of it is way, way older than any of these games?
So yeah, why is that? Why do these games, even from different series, feel so deeply connected? You know what I'm talking about. The recurring themes, the cursed brands, the heroes with impossibly large swords, the tortured knights. It's more than just a developer's signature style. It's an echo. It's a tribute to a single monumental work of art that really shaped them all.
Okay, let's start digging. Exhibit A. On the left, we've got Andre of Astora, the blacksmith everyone knows and loves from Dark Souls. He's elderly, but he's also impossibly muscular, always hammering away. Now take a look at the character description on the right from our mysterious source. I mean, come on, it's a perfect match. You think that's a coincidence? I'm not so sure.
Or how about this one, the Hunter's Mark from Bloodborne? It's this symbol literally burned into you, marking you for this endless, nightmarish hunt. And what do you know? Our mysterious source describes an occult brand that serves the exact same purpose. It marks someone for a lifetime of supernatural struggle. At this point, the similarities are getting way too specific to just ignore. And here's the crucial point. These are not coincidences. The blacksmith, that occult brand, and honestly, dozens more parallels, they all trace back to one single, sprawling epic. You could call it the foundational text for almost all of modern dark fantasy. That source is the manga masterpiece, Berserk, created by the absolute legend, Kentaro Miura. It was first published all the way back in 1989. And to give you an idea of its scale, its cultural impact in Japan is right up there with Star Wars or The Lord of the Rings in the West. It is not just a comic, it is a cultural touchstone that has inspired generations of artists, writers, and, as we're about to see, game developers.
And this slide, this is where it gets undeniable. We're not talking about a few little nods here and there. The promotional art for the Artorias DLC, it's a direct, shot-for-shot copy of a famous panel from the manga. Sullivan's Beast? That's a one-to-one recreation of the Beast of Darkness. The wheel skeletons? Yeah, those are from Berserk too. The Skull Knight is the clear inspiration for the Dark Wraiths. The horrifying event known as the Eclipse heavily influenced the Dark Sign. The list is just staggering. From Software didn't just borrow from Berserk, they built their worlds on its very foundation.
But to really get a handle on this level of influence, you have to understand the man who started it all. We are not just talking about any artist here. We are talking about Kentaro Miura, a man that many, many people consider to be manga's greatest genius, period. And his story is just mind-blowing. Get this. At just 10 years old, Miura created his first manga. It wasn't just some doodle. It ran for 40 volumes in his school paper. 40! He was basically working on a professional schedule as a child. By 15, he meets his creative soulmate, Koji Mori. And by 18, his skill was so off the charts that it left seasoned professionals completely speechless. Just listen to this. George Morikawa, a legend himself, the creator of Hajime no Ippo, he took one look at an 18-year-old Miura's portfolio and basically said, "I have nothing to teach this kid. He already knows everything." Can you imagine that? This wasn't just some raw talent. It was a fully formed artistic vision already there when he was just a teenager. But Miura's influence didn't just stop with From Software, not even close. He was an architect. He designed and perfected so many visual and narrative tropes that have become totally common in fantasy today, you might not even realize they all trace back to him. He either created or perfected 3 pillars of modern fantasy. First, the lone warrior with an iconic, oversized sword. Second, the Bishonen antagonist. That's the beautiful, almost angelic-looking villain who serves as the hero's philosophical opposite. And third, that occult brand we saw earlier, the one that marks the protagonist for a life of suffering. And once you see these tropes, you start seeing them everywhere. Cloudstrife's Buster Sword, that's a direct homage to a blade from an early arc of Berserk. Dante from Devil May Cry, Siegfried from Soul Calibur, Ichigo from Bleach, they all carry that same DNA. Even an antagonist like Wishes from Cowboy Bebop shares key traits with Miura's villain, Griffith. His work is literally baked into the pop culture we all love. This incredible influence makes the final chapter of Kentaro Miura's own story all the more tragic. but also, in a strange way, more profound. It's a story about a legacy that simply refuses to die.
On May 6, 2021, the entire manga and anime world was just shaken to its core. Kentaro Miura passed away suddenly at the age of 54. The master was gone. And his magnum opus, a story he had poured over 30 years of his life into, was left without an ending. But here's where the story takes a turn. Miura, being the meticulous planner he was, had apparently prepared for the worst-case scenario. For years, he had been telling one person, and one person only, exactly how the story of Berserk was meant to end. And that person was his best friend from high school, the one he shared a creative mind with, Koji Mori. So now, in just this incredible act of creative succession and friendship, Koji Mori is directing Miura's own trained assistants to finish the story. He's not writing his own ending, he's just acting as a conduit, making sure that the conclusion is the one his friend always wanted. The story perseveres, just like its hero. Which really leaves us with a final thought. Kentaro Miura may be gone, and his hands might not draw that final page. But when you see his influence in the swing of a great sword in Elden Ring, in the design of a hero in Final Fantasy, or just in the very fabric of dark fantasy itself, you have to ask yourself, how does a story truly end when its spirit is so powerful that it continues to live on in countless others?